First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rokah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to all the Akim and Akwat that believe in all sincerity. So I have an article here, as you see, from RT, and it's entitled Medvedev Issues Apocalyptic Warning to West Over Ukraine. Okay. And there's a caption under this picture, all right, of this this man here. The former Russian president used a book of Revelation quote to comment on Kyiv security treaty demands, right? So basically, the former president quoted a scripture in the book of Revelation. All right, so let's read the article and get some scriptures. Lord willing, this will be edifying. It says, Western half-wits from stupid think tanks are leading their countries down the road of nuclear Armageddon with their hybrid war against Moscow, former President Dmitry Medvedev wrote on his Telegram channel on Tuesday. So basically he's saying that half-wits, okay, which you know what a half-wit is, someone that has no wits, right? Half-wit. From stupid think tanks. Now, when you look at that word think tank, it means a body of experts providing advice and ideas on specific political or economic problems. And as of late, you know, you could see that there's been a lot of meetings, all right, and especially since the number 19 came, all right, on the scene. There's been a lot of councils of a lot of experts providing so-called expert opinion, okay, to you know, the president of the United States. But this guy, Dmitry Medvedev, is calling them half-wits, okay? All right? Because they're leading their country into nuclear Armageddon. That's what America wants, order out of chaos. Okay, that's what the elites want. And they use America as their cash cow. Okay, America is their military force. All right. And America wants to be, you know, the top dog, if you will, but really, the kingdom of Yahushai is going to roll upon the earth. But continuing on, it says Dmitry Medvedev wrote on his Telegram channel on Tuesday, endlessly funneling weapons and support to Ukraine while pretending not to be directly involved in the conflict will not work, added the deputy chair of the Russian Security Council. So he's accusing them of funneling weapons and support to Ukraine. Okay, and then they turn around and say they're not directly involved. All right, and that's making Russia very upset. So the security guarantees proposal unveiled by Kyiv on Tuesday was really a prologue to the Third World War, said Medvedev, calling it a hysterical appeal to Western countries engaged in a proxy war against Russia. Okay. So America is engaged in a proxy war. Now, when you look up proxy war, is an armed conflict between two states or non-state factors, one or both of which act at the instigation or on behalf of other parties. That are not directly involved in the hostilities. All right, so basically America is getting involved indirectly in a war between Ukraine and Russia. You see, and the Russians, they know it. So let's continue and see what this Russian former president what he says, okay, because that's the point I want to get in this article. It says, in the West, if the West continues its unrestrained pumping of the Kiev regime with the most dangerous types of weapons, Russia's military campaign will move to the next level, where visible boundaries and potential predictability of actions by the parties to the conflict will be erased, and the conflict will take on a life of its own, as wars always do, Medvedev argued. Okay? And the Western nations will not be able to sit in their clean homes laughing at how they carefully weaken Russia by proxy, okay? Indirectly, they weaken Russia, okay? Because they're funneling Ukraine with dangerous weapons, okay? And they feel like America's laughing because America doesn't give a damn. America is the hammer of the earth. America, is basically they do what they want, and the countries, okay, that they move against, they feel like, that they're punks basically because they don't do anything about it. So it says, and then the Western nations will not be able to sit in their clean homes laughing at how they carefully weaken Russia by proxy. Everything will be on fire around them. Their people will harvest their grief in full. The land will be on fire and the concrete will melt. Medvedev wrote before citing a Bible verse from Revelations 9:18. All right. Yet, still, the narrow-minded politicians and their stupid think tanks, thoughtfully twirling a glass of wine in their hands, talk about how they can deal with us without entering into a direct conflict. You see, dull idiots with a classical education, Medvedev wrote. Okay, his comments were prompted by Kiev's publication of a security treaty proposal developed under the tutelage of former NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen. The draft envisioned the U.S. and its allies guaranteeing Ukraine pre-2014 borders with weapons, ammunition, financial assistance, and training, as well as committing to maintain sanctions against Russia for as long as Kyiv wants and handing over any confiscated property to Ukraine. Okay? So, they're proposing something that Russia doesn't want. Okay, and basically NATO is helping, all right, Ukraine. All right. And Ukraine was once essentially a part of Russia, and they had a lot of weapons, okay, missiles, if I'm not mistaken, in Ukraine, and now they see Ukraine siding with NATO, and Russia thinks that that's too close to home. It's too close to to threatening of European nations. They're getting too much on their side, and the West is growing stronger, especially America. So yeah, NATO doesn't like all that. I mean, Russia. There was another one. There was another article. Russia quotes. Let's see, which one was it? There was another article. Let's go back. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Let's read this last bullet, which I basically already read it, but it says, and then the Western nations will not be able to sit in their clean homes laughing at how they carefully weaken Russia by proxy. Everything will be on fire around them. Their people will harvest their grief in full. The land will be on fire and the concrete will melt, Medvedev wrote before citing a Bible verse from Revelations 9 and 18. A third of mankind was killed by 3 plagues of fire, smoke, and sulfur that came out of their mouths. Okay, so basically he's threatening America with war, nuclear war. There was another. Oh, this ain't it. It's a video. But in any way, as you see, the former president Russia basically warns America, man. Let's read this. This is the ruling. You see the title. The ruling elites of Western nations are insanely waging 2 wars in 2022. One war is against Russia. The other war is against half of the citizens of those Western nations. It's getting so heated that former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev again quoted holy scriptures from the apocalypse to emphasize what will happen to Western nations if they persist in arming Ukraine with deadly weapons. Okay, and we've seen that he quoted Revelation 9 and 18. Right? There was another article that I can't find it right at the moment, but it said a little bit more in detail. If I don't find it, I'm just going to move on. Yeah, so there you have it. You know, America doesn't go head up with Russia. They, they use other nations like Ukraine to basically piss off Russia. But this is Revelation, and I'm gonna start at it's Revelation 9. And I'm gonna start at 16. It says the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. All right, and this army, okay, is speaking about basically a formation of missiles, okay, that are going to be shot on America, okay, and that number is 200 million, okay, warheads, okay. You see, it says John the Revelator basically described the missiles as horses, okay? And he saw 200 million warheads, 200 million missiles, okay? And we know those missiles carry multiple warheads, so he's describing it to the best that he can. Let's read on. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, right? He saw missiles. That's what he described them as, horses. And them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. Okay? And he's not speaking about horses having heads of lions. He's speaking of missiles. And at the cap or the cone, okay, was as the head of a lion. And it says, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Okay? Now, their mouths, okay, when that missile and that warhead, that cone separate, because really the end part of the missile is like a rocket, but at the tip is where the warheads are at. And there's multiple. I've heard of what? Don't quote me, but I've heard of multiple. I'm not sure how many, but that's what he saw. Okay, horses. He saw missiles, and the power was in the tip. The power was at the head, okay, which he described as a lion, and out of the mouth of it issued fire, smoke, and brimstone. It says, by these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. Okay, so a third part of men were killed, and that third part of men is the third part. All right, that's speaking about Esau. Okay, because we know that there's the sons of the Most High, the sons of the nation, and the sons of the wicked. Okay, this is speaking about the third of men. Is speaking about the sons of the wicked. They were killed by the fire, the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of the what? Out of the tip of these missiles. It's just for their powers in their mouth. You see, the real force of these missiles, this prophetic description that John the Revelator is saying is really the power of it is in the mouth. Okay, that's the cone. All right, it says, if you will, and then their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. You see, so their tails is just the rest of the missile system. Like the rocket and all its components. The back. The end of the rocket, if you will. All right. This is what John the Revelator saw, and this is what this guy is talking about. Okay, see, these nations, all right, these nations, they're in the know. They know, okay, what is going to happen. Now they all want a part in being the leader of this NWO. Okay, but the Lord is gonna ultimately, is going to intervene. Okay, when this third world war pops off, okay, with Russia and their allies, okay, and America and its allies, okay, which ultimately, as Bible prophecy speaks, everyone, the whole nations, all the earth is going to ultimately hate America. You see, so this guy, he's speaking prophetically because they know, okay, they know what the regular person doesn't know. You see, they are the elites, the kings of the nations, right? So he's saying everything will be on fire around them. Their people will harvest their grief in full. The land will be on fire, and the concrete will melt. Scriptures speak about that elements shall melt with fervent heat. You see, matter of fact, something that Christians don't go into. It's in the book of Peter's, 2 Peter 3:10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Okay, now this man says concrete will melt. Okay, now concrete is very hard. Okay, but there's elements that make concrete. So he's saying that the hardest of things like concrete will melt. So he's speaking about a great fire. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. So the things that are created in the earth, okay, are going to be burnt up. We read 1/3 of men, which this is a judgment that is coming for America. Okay, and mainly, Edomites. There's a great fiery judgment for the wicked. Okay, and Russia is just a means by which the Lord will exact judgment, because the Lord is actually against Russia as well. All right, and Russia is in the Bible. Now, when you go into the book of Ezekiel 38, it says, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Okay, so we're also prophesying. All right, we're saying before, okay, what's going to happen. We're telling them what's going to happen. They, which they have an inkling, but you see, through the Spirit and power of Hashem Yahushai, we have the light on the right hand side, so we know reading as well, okay, and a little bit more in detail because the Spirit guides us. The Spirit tells us, all right, because wisdom is about to fail from Esau and these nations, and it's failing, right? It's failing now, right? Ezekiel 38:3, and say, thus saith Yahweh thy power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. All right, now let's see. All right here, when you go into that word Gog.
Strong's H 1463. Gog.
Right.
Gog.
The prophetic prince of Rosh, okay? Meshach and Tubal. Now, Rosh is speaking about Russia and two of its cities, Meshach, which goes back to Moscow, and Tubal goes back to a city, okay, in that same area called Tobolsk, okay? That's what is being prophesied here, that the Lord is against Moscow. He's against Russia, Moscow, Tobolsk. He's against, the modern day, where modern day Russia is, that people. The Lord's not with them. They're not going to be up next. Okay, all these nations are going to come into the NWO and ultimately have war and create chaos, an order out of chaos. And they're all fighting to see who's going to be the top dog, because a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. But the Lord is doing all this. The scriptures tell you that the Lord works on the minds of the kings, okay, to fulfill his will. So we're prophesying against Russia. They're not going to be, okay, the man, right? It says, fourth verse, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, okay? Because, Russia has, lost its power since the fall of the USSR, all right? But the Lord's going to turn them back. He's going to bring them back, and they're actually being brought back. They're in the news. They're going to lead all these armies. They're starting a coalition. They have they're doing their thing right now. Russia's not using the petrodollar. They made a lot of alliances with powerful nations like Iran. And China. Or I want to say China, and the Lord's turning them back. Okay, He's reviving them from the Soviet Union collapse. Okay, in which their power was diminished. All right. And it says, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. Okay, and the thing is, Russia has adamantly said that they do not want nuclear war, but nuclear war can only destroy the world. They're thinking wise, if you will, because nuclear war, if you even shot one bomb off, okay, the radiation, the effects after would really affect, okay, the world, okay, let alone full scale war in which you just shoot off all your nuclear missiles. That's what's really coming, where these nations are just done with America, and Russia's going to be the leader to turn the lights out in this place. The Spirit always has me saying that. So the Lord's turning them back and putting hooks into their jaws and doing something and putting them in a position which they don't want to be in. Okay, it says, and all thine army, horses and horsemen. You see, their chariots, their tanks. And Russia has, as of late, been flashing their army and all their weapons. China has too. They've been in formation, doing those drills and whatnot for a reason. Okay. It says, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Yeah, they're preparing. I want to get something. Let's get this word company.
Strong's H 6951. Kahale.
Right. Check this out. assembly, company, congregation, convocation, assembly for evil counsel, war, or invasion, religious purposes. You see, they know that they're about to fulfill biblical prophecy. All right, that's why this dude quoted Revelation 19 and 18. He's speaking about the missiles. He's prophesying, if you will, okay, about what is going to come to America and how they're going to be, one of the major they're going to play one of the major roles in biblical prophecy. Okay, let's get this real quick. Habakkuk 2 and 6. Shall not all these, wait, let's just get it. Let's go into that. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with the clay. Okay, so, all right, nations are coming out with taunting proverbs, parables. Okay, they're speaking against America. You see, how long will you increase in that which is not yours? And this guy is basically saying that even their security treaties, their proposals are making them want to go to war. Okay, it's bullshit what they're bringing to the table, basically. Okay, what Kyiv is bringing to the table, what Ukraine is bringing to the table, because they're backed by NATO, they're backed by a Russia, and the Russia's like, yo, are you guys serious? You know what I'm saying? We're about to blow you guys up, What is he saying here? Yet, still, the narrow-minded politicians and their stupid think tanks, thoughtfully twirling a glass of wine in their hands, talk about how they can deal with us without entering into direct war. You see? Dull idiots with a classical education. So they're clowning. Okay, they're starting to come forth. The Lord's turning them back, putting the hooks into their jaws and making them be into that role. And they're taking up a parable against them, taunting proverb. It says, shall not they rise up suddenly, that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them. Okay, all right, they're about to get spoiled, man.
Strong's H,
Yep,
4933.
spoil, plunder.
Meshisah. Meshisah.
Yep, they're about to devise a plan against America. They're getting all these countries together. They're Xing America out of trade and out of goods, and they're like, forget your sanctions. We ain't gonna deal with you as a whole. We're gonna go do our own thing with other nations. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's bloods, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Okay, they have spoiled many nations. All right, the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. Right, the residue, the heathen that are round about, that are ultimately, they're gathering together to spoil America. Because they're tired of America getting involved in all these conflicts that don't involve them. They make their enemies stronger, and they feel like, yo, we're at war with them, low key, and they don't want to come out with it because America's a bunch of cowards, man. That's how they deal, underhandedly. But they're about to be spoiled, man. They're about to really got. They're going to be getting taken, okay, in a real evil plan, okay, which is biblical prophecy. And these Russians, they know it. They know the part they play. All right. It says Persia, all right, which the Iranians, Ethiopia, and Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Okay. So those countries are going to be with Russia with shield and helmet. Gomer, which is Turkey, and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself. Okay. And that's what they're doing. They're getting prepared, and they're preparing for their people, man. Vladimir Putin had drills a few years back, nuclear drills, where everybody went underneath basements and hid into hallways. Like he cares about his people. They're preparing for nuclear war. It's America who doesn't know what's really going on. All right, the average person is just in party and bullshit, and it's not in the scriptures and not in these prophecies, and surely not looking at the news. All right. It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right. You say, prepare yourself, be prepared, and all your company, all your,
Strong's H, 6951.
all your congregation.
Kahale.
Okay?
Kahale.
For what? All your congregation is going to go with you to what? To war. All those that are counseling, okay, that are, with you to invade America, to fulfill biblical prophecy, you see? So, and it says, and be thou a guard unto them, because you're ultimately, Russia's like the big bro of the East. All right. Jumping down, 10. But thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and thou shalt be like a cloud. 9 verse. To cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Right. So they're coming with smoke, coming with their company. All right. Though their allies, with basically a nuclear winter. It says, thus say Yahweh thy power, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. You see? So, they're ultimately going to turn, okay, and do some evil.
Strong's H, 4284. Machashava.
Right.
Machashava.
They're going to devise a plan.
Second entry. Machasheveth. Machasheveth.
Right. They're an evil purpose. We know that word evil means what? Means a bad time.
Strong's H, 7451. Ra.
Right. They have an evil person, an evil purpose, an evil plan is going to come into their mind. All right. Evil meaning a bad time. So they're plotting something real bad, okay, on America. You see, to the point where this guy's saying everything will be on fire around them. Their people will harvest their grief in full. Okay. That's what they're thinking. All right. Okay. That's what they're thinking. That, they're gonna be in full grief. Okay. So that's that evil thought that's gonna come into their mind. It says 11, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. And America doesn't have no walls. You can literally travel from state to state. Okay. And there's little checkpoints, but them checkpoints ain't all that guarded. All right. It's like one big city. Scriptures speak about Babylon being one big city. All right, that great city. Okay, as opposed to the ancient world, they had walls around their city. Okay, I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls. Okay, and people here are at rest. They dwell safely. They don't think that America can be touched. They don't think that there's another world power that has the weaponry, that has the capability to really give America a fight. And they're sadly mistaken, because these countries, all right, have been basically preparing for war. They've been trying to acquire nuclear missiles, man. Okay. We read Persia, 5th verse, Ethiopia, Libya. You see, Iran, which is Persia. Okay. Iran and Russia. China has been in the talks with them as of late. So they're a formidable opponent now to America. But they're, ultimately Russia, is going to come to America. They're the place of unwalled villages. All right, this is what we speak about. It says that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Okay, and America doesn't have a real good missile defense system. As a matter of fact, there was a video that came out last year that was saying that America's defense system is, the technology is of the 1960s, and it's not adequate enough to stop, okay, an invasion. The technology is not good enough to actually stop a threat, to get the message out in time and whatnot. I mean, it's they're through, and America is literally done because they never think that anything was going to come onto their soil, so they never worked on their defense system. You see, so I just wanted to bring this out because this is where this article is basically biblical prophecy. All right, and these this is what its purpose for the land of America, man. And a lot of people can wave that flag and eat all the hot dogs and watch all the fireworks they want, but America is basically in danger, and they know it, but they're not going to tell you. Okay, they know these things, and Lord willing, I can find that video. I'll put it in the description box of where it speaks about America's defense system and how old it is. Okay. But with that, Lord willing, you were edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rokah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim and you Akwat that believe in all sincerity. Shalom.